Welcome to KBR Knowledge Hub. This is Babura Kunchala. Now I would like to discuss about FERA versus FEMA. It's recently in news because Enforcement Directorate who files case against the BBC under FEMA Act. So what is FEMA Act and what is FERA? FERA replaced by the FEMA. Right? So we need to understand the major differences between FERA and FEMA one by one. So first of all, why in news? It is in current affairs, it's a current event. So why FEMA actually filed a case against the BBC channel, BBC Broadcasting? And is it BBC violate the FEMA rules? Right? We will discuss one by one. So first one here, why in news? The first one here, why in news? Enforcement Directorate has recently registered a case against the British Broadcasting Corporation, that is BBC, in India under the Foreign Exchange Management Act, that is famously called FEMA Act. That's why in news. ED actually registered a case against the British Broadcasting Corporation under the Foreign Exchange Management Act. So why ED filed case on BBC? What is the reason for that? What are the reasons for that? Definitely BBC violates the norms of the FEMA or rules of the FEMA. We will discuss one by one. So now here, what is the case about? First of all, what is the case? The case here, the ED, Enforcement Director, registered a case against BBC under FEMA for the alleged violation is the foreign direct investment. It violates the foreign direct investment. So that's why ED booked case on BBC. So next one here, earlier the Income Tax Department had also carried out surveys in the office of the BBC in New Delhi and Mumbai on non-compliance with the transfer pricing rules and was diversion of profits. That's the biggest one. BBC diverts the profits. That's why ED involved now. We need to know whether it is they divert the profit and now ED will take care of that. So this is the case actually. The main reason for why ED actually filed a case against the BBC, the main reason here, diversion of the profits. Transfer pricing rules and was diversion of the profits. This is the reason. That's why they filed case. So now here, what are the foreign exchanges? That is also important. Foreign exchanges. What are the foreign exchanges? So different countries have a different currencies and foreign exchanges. Different countries have a different currencies and a foreign exchange converts the currency of one country into another. That is the exchanging of the money. Right? For example, if India is importing from the US, it needs to pay in dollars, right? Similarly, when the US is importing from India, it would need to pay in rupee. It would actually need to pay rupee, but it's not. Is it happening now? That's the question. What is the foreign exchange generally here? And now here India, it would need to pay in rupees, the foreign exchange. So foreign exchange is also important when a country is investing in another country. Now it's a global market. Most of the companies investing in different countries. So that is required. If the US is investing in India, it has to invest in rupees. Similarly, India has to invest in dollars while investing in the US. A similar thing. That's called foreign exchange. So such transactions, if you observe, create a demand for foreign exchanges. When this kind of transaction, when this kind of traffic happening, that actually create the demand for the foreign exchanges. Now you are able to understand. So now here, what is the FEMA Act 1999? Already we discussed what is foreign exchange. Now what is the FEMA Act 1999? So Foreign Exchange Management Act FEMA came in 1999 as a successor to the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act FERA of 1973. FEMA actually replaced the FERA. FERA actually here Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1973, whereas the FEMA Foreign Exchange Management Act in 1999. This is what happening. So next one here, it was drafted while keeping in mind the changing economic conditions in a post-liberalization in India. After 1991, you can see the number of changes taking place, economic changes, and like here, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. This happened in India, and based on that conditions, India actually changed the policy. This 1999 FEMA. So now the aim of this act was to facilitate external growth, encourage foreign exchanges, maintenance of foreign exchanges markets in India. To external growth, encourage foreign exchanges, maintenance of foreign exchanges markets in India. That is the main aim of this FEMA Act. So next one, what are the similarities between the FERA and FEMA? Is there any similarities? Is there any differences between the FERA and FEMA? Then we will discuss two acts look like the same. One is Foreign Exchange Regulation Authority, one is Foreign Exchange Managing Authority. It look like the same. But there are so many similarities and there are so many differences also there. We will discuss one by one. What are the similarities first here? The Reserve Bank of India and central government continue to be the regulatory bodies for the both. Reserve Bank of India and central government continue to be the regulatory bodies. So next one here, presumption of extraterritorial jurisdiction as conceived in FERA was retained. The presumption of the extraterritorial jurisdiction as conceived in FERA was retained. The Directorate of Enforcement continued to be the agency for the enforcement of the provisions of the law, such as conducting search and seize anything. These are the similarities, both have the similarities. But at the same time here, there are a difference between the FERA and FEMA also. What are the differences? The first one here we will discuss here, FERA. It was originated in 1973. The main aim of the FERA to regulate foreign exchanges in order to conserve foreign exchanges reserves. Regulating foreign exchanges in order to conserve foreign exchange reserves. So then background of the FERA, what is the background of the FERA? It formulated at a time when the foreign reserves were limited. Right. So what are the provisions in the FERA Act? Is there any provisions? The complex consisted of 81 sections. There are some provisions. Complex consisted of 81 sections. There are 81 sections and right of assistance is there. So it did not contain any provisions on the defaulter to seek any legal assistance. It did not contain any provisions on the defaulter to seek any legal assistance. But category of violation is the one of the major difference here. The category of the violation here and criminal offense also they file under this, and punishment and imprisonment you can also see here. Like these are the things you need to understand. A category of violation, it comes under the criminal offense. When here something violates the Foreign Regulation Act, then it comes under the criminal offense. Then also they will also get the punishment if it is proved, and they say in the imprisonment also, right? This is what we call here a FERA. So next one here, search and seizure, also one of the main important provision of the FERA Act. So it conferred wide powers to make a search. Okay, it conferred wide power to make a search in any company, anything. transactions, they may such in transactions. All foreign exchanges dealings required permission from RBI or central government. All foreign exchange dealings. So right. Next, what the FEMA? What are the difference between FERA and FEMA? Now we discuss something about the FERA. Now we are discussing about the FEMA. The difference here, you can see, everyone knows that it was originated in 1999 after liberation of India. After liberation of economic policy of the India, 1999. The main aim of this FEMA. What is the main aim? The main aim of the FEMA is to facilitate external trade. To facilitate external trade and payments and promoting orderly development and maintenance of the foreign exchange market. It actually promotes the external trade payments and promoting orderly development and maintenance of foreign exchange markets. Right? So now here, what is the background of this one? It enacted at a time when the foreign reserves were satisfactory. Foreign reserves are when satisfactory, then that's why it enacted. There are some provisions. So it's around 49 sections of there. Right to of assistance. It expressly recognized the right of appellant to take assistance of the legal practitioner. Right. So now here the category of violation. If anyone violates the FEMA Act, it comes under the civil offence. But in FERA, it's a criminal offence. In FERA, if violate the FERA, that comes under the criminal offence, whereas the FEMA, civil offence. Right? Punishment, civil punishment. And again here, monetary penalty is there. A huge penalty they may impose if you violate the FEMA Act. So right, and search and seizure, the same thing here like a FERA and FEMA. So the scope and power of the search and seizure. Power of the search and seizure has been curtailed and confined to offices of enforcement. Right? So now your transactions, if you observe your transaction, current account transactions are free from permissions and certain capital account transactions required special permission from the RBI. Current account transactions are free from the permissions, but the capital account transaction required special permission from the RBI according to FEMA Act. That is the one thing here. So now here, what is Enforcement Directorate? Next one. And now already we discussed the similarities of the FERA and FEMA and differences between FERA and FEMA. Now what is Enforcement Directorate? Who is ED? What is the work of the ED? That is also important, right? So it is a premier final investigation agency of the Government of India. A financial investigation agency of the Government of India, that is ED. So now the Directorate of Enforcement is multidisciplinary organization mandated with the investigation of offence of money laundering and violation of foreign exchanges laws, which includes, right, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. It is also ED also includes here the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Next one here, the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1998 and FEMA. It also includes the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018. And now here the Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act 1974. That is the COFPOSA. So then ED also include all these acts. Right? So now here the FERA and FEMA. Now you are able to understand why ED Enforcement Directorate officers filed a case against the BBC. Actually the case or money laundering case, because BBC shifted their profits to the other